Hey YouTube, I just wanted to bring you this quick video from Russia today. Anyway, I was just investigating the Illuminati involvement in 9/11, of course, and it led back to the Enron scandal. If anybody remembers that, it's hard to forget. I mean, they basically manipulated the energy markets, like shut down power plants when California was in extreme emergencies, and manipulated that and made billions of dollars charging people like it was so crazy, man, what they got away with. Anyway, I was investigating that, and then that led, guess who was involved in that? The Bushes. I think it was George Bush's nephew, Marvin Bush or something. Of course, he had his finger in that jar. And then investigating Enron led to investigating WorldCom. And what they did, WorldCom, I highly suggest you check these documentaries out. They're pretty informative to see just how much these bankers steal from us, and how obvious it is, and how they get bailed out. And that was last night. I went from Enron to WorldCom to the 2008 collapse, and you just see the billions of dollars they steal from people. People who work $30 and lose their entire pension and stuff. Or 30 years or whatever. Anyway, check this out. Like I said, WorldCom got busted because they cooked their books, which basically means they greased their accountant, paid him. In this case, it was Arthur Andersen, one of the top 5 accounting firms. They greased him by several million, I think it was like a week, to, overlook these accounting errors. And what they do is they take expenses of their corporation and mark them down as assets, and sell that to the accountant as, just an asset, and that it didn't count as an expenditure, and the accountant would overlook that, so that would inflate their stock price. So stock analysts would invest in this company thinking that it was worth all this money when it really had all these hidden debts. And then that's how the Liedman Brothers failed, which was back in 2008, that's how they cooked the books. They'd what were they called? Ninja loans, no income, no job loans, and they'd give them to people, with no job. And they'd start them out with like a really low interest rate, like 1% for the first 6 months or something, and then spike it up to like 8.9, and these people on a fixed income would have no way of, pay it, and then they'd, be able to foreclose. And the guys who made the loans, they didn't care, because they'd bundle it up as a package and ship it to overseas markets, and, people would be investing on that. That's how the Liedman Brothers collapsed. Anyway, now listen to what the U.S. economy is like now. Check this out, man, and see if you don't recognize the patterns.
It's great to be with you, and great to be in Russia.
So you're the one who states that America is broke and is even in a worse state than Greece and Ireland. How so? What exactly do you mean by that?
Well, we economists look at all the bills the government has to pay, and in the U.S. case, we have enormous bills that have been kept off the books that are not official debts, but they're very real. For example, paying me my social security benefits, my old age pension, that's a real obligation. It's not part of official government debt, but it's, very important, because there are 78 million baby boomers who are going to get these social security payments, and in addition, medical payments from the government. If you look at all those payments, they're about $3 trillion a year. So we have these huge bills. Nobody has thought about paying for them. And Congress and the presidents over the years have just focused on official debt, and basically have not told the public about these big bills.
You said the amount of the fiscal gap in the United States is, in your estimation, $222 trillion. Is this right?
$222 trillion. If you take,
this is like an astonishing number. It's like 3 times the world's GDP. This is more than what the world makes.
20 times higher than the official debt in the hands of the public.
That is insane. That doesn't even make sense.
So if you add all these spending obligations into the distant future, and you compare them with all the taxes, and you include in the spending all the interest payments and principal payments on the debt, on the official debt, you have $222 trillion in present value. Now this is 12% of GDP on an ongoing basis. In other words, we need to get 12% more of GDP either in tax increases or spending cuts in order to have the fiscal gap be zero. We're doing far too little too late. It's like operating on a person with cancer and you say, well, there's a big tumor.
Alright, I'm going to stop it there because like I said, YouTube tends to copyright strike me all the time now, so I want to claim fair use on that. Anyway, like I said, did you hear what he was saying? And why would this guy lie? I mean, it doesn't make sense. I mean, like, it's basically, I hated economics and I never realized how important it was until I went back and looked at this. And like I said, the whole 9/11 thing was to wipe off the WorldCom and Enron investigation. That in Building 7, that's where their financial investigation records were kept, and that's why Larry Silverstein said pull it. But before I get distracted on that, you know, like I said, the U.S. is hiding its obligation to pay senior citizens their Social Security, and I'm assuming that's how they paid these government bailouts to AIG and what was it? I forget. But the Lehman, and they didn't bail out Liedman Brothers, but they bailed out Ford and AIG to something like $85 billion. And where do you think that money comes from, man? The government just prints it out for free, of course. And then they take it from the teachers and the veterans and, you know, people, Social Security. And then the politicians who pass this law, they get a nice little bonus, and all the corporate executives get bailed out, and, you know, they have a nice little fall boy, usually the CFO, the chief financial officer, and they go to prison for 10, 20 years, and then the people who own the company make $85 billion, making all these inflated stock sell-offs, and then people lose everything. So, and if you don't think the U.S. economy is going to collapse, you're out of your mind, man. What's the debt at now? 17 trillion, and that's just what we know. That's what the government admits to. 17 trillion. Okay, that's an extremely large number. And what this dude's saying is we got even more than that, hidden debt through who knows what it could be. All this Obamacare, Medicaid's got to come from somewhere. Social Security's got to come from somewhere. They're printing all this money that doesn't exist. They're saying we have a debt so large it would take the entire world's gross domestic product there just to make a dent in probably our interest rate. That's simply pathetic. That means when our economy goes, it's not going to be fixed. I mean, it'll be worse than the Great Depression on a level that's unfathomable. I can't even explain it. I don't have any suggestions. So if you want a good investment now, forget gold and silver. I'd start putting it in sustainable food supplies and all that. So these preppers that you think are crazy, they're going to be laughing at you pretty soon. And trying to put a date on all this, you never know. The bankers control it all. They can bail out. You know, they let Lehman Bank fail, but they could let any bank fail. They can bail out any bank. It all depends when it's convenient for them. So this guy's trying to tell you, just do your research on Enron and WorldCom if you don't know what any of this economic stuff is. But it is really important that you start paying attention to this, because this is from Russia Today. Obviously, I don't know what it is, if it's an anti-American spin or not, but this guy, it's not like he's making up some wild claim. It's valid stuff that they're hiding debts, just like these billionaire stock fraud people have done. So, you know, it makes sense to me, and I find myself reasonably educated, so I suggest you start doing some research and do it yourself. Sorry I'm rambling, this is a long video, but I hope you found it informative. And let me find my little guide here if you want to. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. No, I don't know where it went. I was going to show you what it was called. But it was just in my recommended inbox, and I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, start researching Enron and WorldCom, and look at the link between Bush, the Illuminati, 9/11, Enron, WorldCom, all the world's greatest conspiracies. The Illuminati is there, people. So go ahead and deny it. It's not my problem. I'm just going to show you it. That's all